Hi, everyone. This is Jacqui Cooper with JCooperTravels Talk Show. I want to welcome everyone back to this episode. I am very excited to have Annette on the show. I'm going to introduce her in a quick second. For those that are new to the JCooperTravels Talk Show, I just want to share a little bit about my background and what the show is all about. I have a very diverse background. I'm a lawyer, but I'm also a special educator, as well as an entrepreneur and a travel consultant. And J. Cooper Travel started, the talk show started last year because I wanted to talk about where we can go in the world. And in fact, Annette is in a beautiful location in Hawaii. So we're going to be talking a little bit about that. But when COVID happened, I rebranded J. Cooper Travel. So it's more about how do we travel in life and the path that we take, both personally, professionally, family-wise, spiritually. So I really want the stories that you're listening to or seeing, if you're on the YouTube side of this, to inspire you, as well as to provide some sort of education, so that way you can also know that you can step out and do more if you'd like to, or just enjoy your life in a whole different way. So with that, I want to say welcome, Annette. Thank you so much for being on. How are you doing today?
Wonderful. Thank you, Jacqui. Appreciate it.
Sure. So, so you're in Hawaii, and definitely a place that I visited and I love. What's the weather like now in Hawaii?
Oh, it's probably about 80 degrees. It's beautiful. It's sunny outside. Just came back from playing pickleball a little while ago. How's that?
That's nice. That's nice. Definitely a place that is on many people's bucket list to go and explore. So, you're an author and you're an entrepreneur, and we met on Alignable as well, and we're both on different social media. So I was very touched and inspired by your story. And why don't you share a little bit more about your background and how you ended up deciding that you wanted to write your story. And while you're doing that, I'll also get a visual up of your book, so that way people can also see more about it.
Okay, well, I've lived here in Hawaii all my life. I was an RN for 42 years, retired from postpartum nursing in 2015. So it's been 6 years, 6 wonderful years. Love my job as a nurse. I also started a fibromyalgia support group back in 2001, which I was president of for 21 years. However, last November, my whole sorry about the recording.
That's okay. That's okay. It happens. Keep, it's all good.
So anyway, basically, I was the president of a nonprofit for 21 years. And then finally, last November, I changed gears totally because I got really passionate about something that had happened to me over the last 2 years. And that was when my father-in-law passed away suddenly, and I was thrown into this whole challenge of taking care of everything. My mother-in-law was 89 years old. He was 99 years old. And he basically had everything in order. He had his will, his trust, his power of attorney, and he had educated us on everything that we thought was needed. But when he passed away, I found out that that was just a myth. I mean, it's wonderful to have those paperwork that they ask you to have available for your heirs, but it was all the mundane things that just got to me. And every time I ran into a problem, it was like, I wish I had known this. I wish I had known this. And I'm a pretty organized person. So when this started happening, I started jotting things down so I wouldn't forget things. Basically, who I had to call, who did I have to follow up with, who was going to call me. And I made a list of all these things that I didn't realize were so important until I made the list and gave it to my friends, because we're all baby boomers and we have spouses that are getting ill or parents that are getting ill. And every one of them came back to me and said, Annette, you need to write a book and you need to get the word out. So I basically wrote the book because of them. And I am on this mission. It's my passion to just help people not have to go through what I went through, basically.
I understand. I definitely understand. So for those that are on the video side, you can see that I have a visual of the book. It says, Wait, Don't Die Yet. It's by Annette Kam. And it's available in hardback and Kindle. And the links will also be available in the podcast block below, so that way you can reach out. You have here that there's a downloadable guidebook, and they can get the book for free. And so you can also buy the book on Amazon, and I'm showing Annette's here. And it's again what she says here, in case you're not on the visual side, is it's a step-by-step guide for adult children and spouses who are either preparing for death or preparing for someone else's. And this book covers the basics of what you need to know to get your affairs in order, while also teaching you the mundane tasks you must complete in and around the time of death. A comprehensive tool that empowers rather than depresses you. This helpful approach allows you to deal with the practicalities of death while offering the hands-on guidance you need to make sure you have time to grieve. And that's so true. I mean, a lot of us, we might not really think that we want to think about this topic, but it's very practical, and it's important for us to have an authentic, honest conversation before we actually have to deal with the details. So it's a very emotional topic, but so have you found how, what other guide or insights have you found by writing this book? What other tips have you found?
Well, the interesting thing is I knew how important it was to get the book out there. What I didn't expect was to get all these emails of gratitude, people who knew they had to do it, but didn't know where to start.
Right.
So, this book has been out there, and I think last count, I've reached about 5,300 people all over the country. So, my mission is it's just a very satisfying thing to do. And
yeah.
That's all I care about. Basically, that's all I care about, is to get this out there.
Yeah. So, what were some of the things that you found you didn't know?
Oh my God. I don't know where to start, but for example, my father-in-law was so organized. I told you he was organized, and he had his checkbooks all balanced to the penny. He was 99 years old, and I took over, and all of a sudden, okay, where's the checkbooks? Okay. He had educated us 16 years ahead of time of his paperwork. He told us where the safe was. He told us where the key was. And 16 years later, when I went to get the key, instead of having this one key on a key ring, there were like 20 keys on this key ring, none labeled. And that was just a small part of, so it's frustrating to take this time that you need to get to these papers and to figure out which key belonged to that. Things like that, things like my mother-in-law's phone went out. And this is something so tiny that I hope that the readers, if they get nothing out of this, remember to do this one thing. When my father-in-law had passed away, 10 days later, my mother-in-law's phone went out. It was broken. And I thought, oh, easy, just call the telephone company, they'll fix it. And that nightmare lasted 3 months, 29 phone calls, and getting the Better Business Bureau involved, because she was not listed on the bill. And she had no authority to have them fix it until there was a death certificate, which was impossible to get because it would take 3 to 6 weeks to come. So those are little tidbits that I learned along the way. Things like, okay, where's your motor vehicle registration and who's on it? How do you sell it if it's only in his name and not your name? So those are the really important things. Things like passwords. You have a computer with all your things scanned in there, but does your spouse know the password?
Yeah, no, It's very true. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about things that I've set up for, I'm a single mom. So I've been thinking about things that I set up for my daughter. I have a finance box, and in that finance box, I put, sometimes it's organized and sometimes not, but I put all my financial papers. But like you said, I showed her where the keys for the lockbox is. And when I move it, I have to tell her where I've moved it. And but just like you talked about passwords, I created a notebook with passwords because I realized that I have so many different websites, emails, different things. And also because of all my different businesses, I have different portals that she would need to go onto if she was to try to navigate to figure out, okay, there's income from this one, there's income from that one. They might drop into both of my bank accounts, but again, for her to trace and track, it gets, when it's just us, it's like, okay, I know where this is. But when someone else has to figure it out, it gets complicated.
Definitely, definitely, yeah. Also, what I wanted to also share briefly is that, the book also talks about caregiving.
Yes.
So there's a transition into that of how to choose a care home, what to look out for. Things like, you think about things like, oh, it's so simple. Just look for one that's clean, safe, run by an RN, does activities. But nobody ever thinks about things like, what about the food you eat? What if
Right.
they cook the food you like?
Right.
And so those are those things that are in the book that people just don't think about. There's interviews with caregivers. There's a chapter on communication, on how to communicate in this really sensitive topic. Because if you were to bring it up with your spouse or your parents, the first thing that's going to come to their mind is, why do you want to talk about this? I'm not dead yet. I don't have a foot in the grave. So why do we have to talk about this? So those are things that are covered in the book, which I think is pretty comprehensive, along with the file system and how to file everything, because it doesn't make sense to have all these great papers with no place to find them.
No, I agree with you. I totally agree with you. The other thing that I'm going to, briefly mention is that I am involved with cryptocurrency and cryptocurrency consulting and BitMine. And I realized again, that my daughter has no interest in cryptocurrency at the moment. But like you, I realized that she needed to know how to access those portals because she wasn't familiar with it. And so I created an ebook, cryptocurrency organizer. So that way, when individuals are sharing with their families, that is it a phone app? Is it a website? Does it use Google Authenticator? How do you access? Where are the seed words? I mean, that's all, lingo or language or terms that are used in the cryptocurrency or blockchain. But when you are talking to someone who's not familiar with this, even if you've just put a little bit of money there, it's growing. And if they don't know how to access it, it means that money stays on the blockchain and your family doesn't benefit from the generational income that you were trying to create for them. So just like your book is super important, I would suggest that people, if you're involved with cryptocurrency, take a look at my link, because that book, that PDF could benefit you with organizing information that will be valuable. Because again, like you said, the list of things that you need to know grows even longer when you can't go to the neighbor bank and say, okay, I have a bank account. How do I access it? There's the permission to be able to get into all this area. We just don't think about it. It's not like so many years ago where you kept your money underneath your mattress. So what other tips do you have for those that might be listening?
Well, I hope is that I can motivate somebody to take that first step. Basically, take that first step. Don't be afraid. If you think that you don't need the book, I would suggest that they go to Amazon and just look at the reviews. You know, they're all basically 5-star reviews. The book has been in the market just from last November, and it's been doing well. You know, I have people that are sharing it with their financial counselors, with the funeral home as part of a pre-planned package. So that's exciting. You know, that was in the back of my mind, but that came up from somebody else who thought of it and shared it with their funeral person, their director. So these are the little things that I just want to motivate people and get them just taking that first, just taking a look at the book first. And you know, it's very easy to fill out. You know, I don't think it's going to take you more than a couple of weeks to fill out. And you only have to fill out one section at a time. You know, the stuff about the caregiving and what you do after the death and all that is all down the road. But if you're healthy now, you do the part that you can fill out while you're healthy.
I agree with you. I mean, there are things that we can do while we're able to do it that will make it easier for our family members, and also have the conversations with the family members now. So that way everyone can be involved with the discussion, because like you said, you need to know where certain things are located, and it's important to do that. I would also add, you know, just another thing that I'm involved with, so I'll also share the link below, I am a lawyer, but I'm licensed in one state. So I became involved with Legal Shield because of the fact that I think it's really important for everyone to have a will, to have a medical directive, to have a financial power of attorney, because again, the unexpected can happen. And if you, and what we saw with COVID, your loved ones aren't always able to be with you. So you need to be able to have someone be able to communicate on your behalf. But if you haven't put it in writing, then they don't have the authority to act on your behalf. I know you know, with your medical background, you must have seen this a number of times. And so that's why this is really important.
It really is. You know, I always like to say, Jackie, that when I wrote the book, I titled it Wait, Don't Diet, because as you say, it's so important to have your will and all this stuff in order. And it's like death doesn't have a pause button.
No.
I mean, when it happens, it's going to happen, and you're going to be ready or you're not going to be ready. You know, so this is I guess our shout out to be ready. That's all I can say. Be ready. You know.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that we don't know about the promise of tomorrow. However, many of us will live long and very healthy lives. But it is good to be proactive and preventive. You know, just like we might walk to keep our muscles active, the idea of filling out the checklist that you created in your book is important, because it's going to help down the road. So, you know, it's just a few extra steps that can help, you know, with that path. So anything else that you can think of, that any last minute tips or a place that you would like them to visit when they visit Hawaii? Because we're doing one tip, one place.
Let's come to Hawaii. It's beautiful out here.
For sure.
I've been here all my life, and I just love to have everybody come visit.
Definitely. So everyone, make sure that you like and subscribe to JCooperTravels so you can learn about other important episodes that can help you, you know, enjoy the quality of your life, as well as, you know, wherever you go. Definitely check out the link so that way you can explore the book that Annette has created for you. Also, I will I'll list 2 other links for you, both the Legal Shield link, where you can reach out to me and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. It's a flat monthly rate of just $24.95 a month. And if you were to be paying an hourly rate for an attorney, trust me, I know it's a lot more than that to create a will or an estate plan. And again, this show is here to help give you guidance in so many different areas. If there's a topic that you would like us to talk about, just reach out. Annette, I am really grateful to have met you. I look forward to hearing about the success of the book and any other books or projects that you're working on, because I know that you're very creative, and I'm sure there's something else that you're going to be doing down the road as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, everyone.